Welcome to Muffin Talk.
Kia ora and welcome to Muffin Talk. This program is brought to you by the initiative Titipounamu, Study and Joy. My guest today is Dr. Nizar Mohamed. Nizar has a PhD in plant virology and has more than 40 years of work experience in sustainable development issues in 59 countries. In his role as a policy analyst for New Zealand, Nizar attended the UN World Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. Since his retirement, he teaches a master-level course in environment and sustainable development and ecosystem services and their contribution to sustainable development for the Baha'i Institute of Higher Education. On the 22nd of April, we celebrated Earth Day. This was first celebrated in 1970, so this was the 55th time that we had a worldwide reminder of protecting our planet Earth. Nizar, I mentioned that you participated in a UN Earth Summit in 1992. Do you remember how it was to participate in this conference? Can you share some impressions with us?
In 1992, there was a process of about 3 years leading up to that conference. And I was there from the very beginning. And there was I would describe it as a time of hope, because we knew there were looming environment and development problems. But I think that at that time, people felt that international agreements and people working together would allow us to tackle those problems. And at that time, of course, for example, climate change, there was still time to do something about it. The effects that we are now seeing because of climate change were not as apparent. We were worried about some of those theory about sea level rise and things like that. But I think that there's other effects, the warming of cities and countries, the higher incidence of hazards, is not as apparent at that time. We had opportunity, and we did agree on a lot of commitments, like the Climate Change Convention was first agreed at Rio, and as was the Biodiversity Convention. And everybody felt that, yes, we've all made a commitment internationally, 192 countries coming together, and that we would start doing something about it. And for me, that was a time of hope. And at that time, I was with New Zealand. I came back and I started working with the Minister of Environment. And I was the coordinator for Agenda 21, which was meant to be the agenda for sustainable development for the world. And I remember writing a cabinet paper, which was agreed on what we should be doing. There were many things we were already doing. And so this was the other things we should be doing. And then I was given the opportunity to join UNDP to work for a program called Capacity 21, which was to help countries develop their own Agenda 21s and start doing something about sustainable development. So again, that seemed to be a time of hope. But unfortunately, the words didn't really lead to action. Like the T.S. Eliot poem, between the idea and the reality, there falls a shadow, and the shadow fell. And we didn't really do things as we should have.
It's now 33 years later, and many scientists are still warning of the consequences of climate change. As you said, climate change is here, but then there is also a group of people throughout the world who consider the whole thing as a hoax or even something positive. From your point of view as a scientist and a policy advisor or a retired policy advisor, how do you see the situation today compared to 1992? So it was hope, and you said some elements or some suggestions have been implemented, but how do you see the situation compared today?
Well, things have deteriorated in a lot. In many ways, we've reached the tipping point, because the tipping point is where things got so far that it's irreversible. And so we have to be looking at it in many ways a new normal because we have gone too far. There is still hope. Sadly, many people still are doing things that are totally contrary to it. Governments all over the world are not doing enough. I'll avoid specific examples, but in some ways, sort of governments like China have done a lot. When you look at what they've done to their own emissions, the way they're controlling them, so there is hope there. And we have the technology to do it, but we lack the political will to do it because it means that we can't do things the same way that's always done. We need to think differently and do differently.
You talked about 2021 and Agenda 2021. Now we're 2025. I guess in 1992 or in the late 2000s, 2021 was far away. And they thought, oh, well, that will happen.
Agenda 21 was actually about the 21st century. This was in
Oh, the 21st
1992.
century.
The 21st century was ahead of us. It was meant to be that. And we had follow-ups at the year 2000, the Millennium Summit. Unfortunately, the international meetings have become circuses in a way, rather than time to look at the issues, what progress we made, where we haven't made progress, which is a lot, and make issues and try to come to some decisions about it. At that time, of course, at the Rio Earth Summit, there was, as I said, a lot of hope.
You're a practicing Baha'i and you work together with members of other faith groups in a climate action group. What do you think spirituality and faith could offer to protect the environment and to create an awareness for what is needed to be done?
There is a lot that people of faith, and it's just not restricted just to faith. There are many people that do not follow a particular organized religion who have a deep spirituality. So it's spirituality and action that we're talking about. And when we look at the principles like justice, unity, the whole stewardship, guardianship, all those principles are common to all the religions and also to people who don't follow a particular religion. For example, in the United States, people that follow religions as the greatest number, but a number of people, and most people would say they are spiritual and they do not follow a specific religion. China, where religion is not that strong as national, apart from some churches and some religious faiths. Most people would say they are spiritual. In New Zealand, it's the same. 50% belong to organized religions, but a lot of the rest have some spiritual values. So that goes through all. So it does offer a lot. And when we look at climate change, it's not just an environmental issue. There's a lot more to it than that. It's economic, it's social justice. As I said, the principle of justice is very, very strong all throughout. As a Baha'i, I strongly believe that we need both the religion and science because they both have something to offer each other. Religion is not really separate from science. They go together because science provides us the technical know-how and the reasons. Religion provides the moral compass. And what's gone wrong is that we got the technology, but we have done it without the moral compass.
It's interesting because I just remember that I heard this quote from Pope Benedict who said, science explains how things happened, and religion explains why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same.
So I think that this is one of the points where we are all religions or most religions agree, and that could be another sign of hope, isn't it?
It is a sign of hope. And I think the passing of Pope Francis brings to mind a lot of those issues. He was one of the strongest advocates for putting a moral compass on the way we are using our world around us. We need to live in partnership with it. The religions and the beliefs of the indigenous peoples, these principles are very strong in there. and the way they see the world around them. We have only one world, and we have a duty to look after it. And we are not looking after it. We're just looking after our own needs. And actually, unity, we mean to, as Pope Francis was saying, and as a Baha'is believe, we all belong to one human family.
And we are interconnected with the world, with the creation.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're all part of
If
it.
you could say one sentence or one yes, something to the people who are listening, and what could they do? What if maybe the listeners would already do a lot regarding environment, but something, a message of hope, what would you tell them?
I think one of the things we need to do is to recognize that we all belong to one human family, and we start working together, where whatever community we live in, and we work together, and we then try and achieve something to improve everybody's lives, not just a few. New Zealand is a very rich history of how, when there are disasters or natural hazards like the floods that we had a couple of years ago, how people came together and how they helped each other. We got examples all over the place.
Another symbol of hope, I think, is also the picture that your granddaughter painted, and you have the bird with the eggs, and the bird is going upwards it looks like it's pulling the eggs, but you have these symbols of birds and eggs and future and fertility. So I think that these are wonderful words, and let's hope that we never forget our responsibility of our part, may it be as small as it could be, but we all share that responsibility to look after the earth and to remind us that we all one human family.
Yeah. And I think that, what we talk about, like my granddaughter who did that painting, and intergenerational justice. What we are doing now, we're not going to be leaving the world in a state that we found it. And my generation has actually had the environment and the world around us, and we were able to use it for our benefit. But we've really destroyed most of it. If we come together and work together, we can do it.
Yeah.
And I was reading yesterday about the sea turtles, the green turtles, that are starting to go extinct. And all over the world, people have worked together. The scientists with local communities, they have come back. They're now sustainable, and we can do it.
Thank you so much, Nizar. So we should never give up hope, but we need to work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Out there, heroic peace is calling. In the bonds of love we meet. For the world, a new day dawning and shine.